Hello, my name is Tendai and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to apply for grants plus 5 tips for instant success that will really make your next application stand out. But before I get started, I only realized that about only 10% of our viewers are actually subscribed to our channel. So hit that subscribe, give it a smash, and you will stay up to date with all the things that we talk about, and it will help our channel to grow. So today's video is inspired by over the past few weeks, pretty much the past few months, I have been helping some of my buddies with their grant applications, trying to encourage them to apply. And through that process, I also learn about grants myself, and I always try to apply for as many grants as I can. So the first part that I'll start with, so the question that always people ask, why should I apply for grants? So one thing that I always believe in, if you can find something that you can do that you really enjoy and that brings you a lot of satisfaction, so the measure of your success should not always be the profit at the bottom line. So that's where grants come into the picture. So by applying for a grant, it gives you the financial assistance to actually make something that you dream of, or that you're really passionate about, or that you think could bring a lot of value to other people. So it makes that possible. That way you're not stressed about how you're going to finance some of your projects. So this could be through music, it could be through dance, it could be for music, or it could be even for a business. There's always different opportunities for getting grants depending on what you're trying to do. So the first step before you can apply, you really need to search what criteria you might be eligible. So I always believe there's always a grant for someone. There's always something for everyone. So the first step before you can get started applying, you just need to search to find something that you're eligible for. So it's really important to go through the requirements, because once you go through the requirements, you'll be able to see whether you're eligible, and you'd find out the time when you can start. So the second part is the most important. So I always talk about this. No one can be ready for anything. Ready is just like an imaginary state that people talk about. So once you've seen the grant that you want to apply for, you're going to start doubting yourself. I've been there myself. So fear is always the first thing. Like, you're going to be asking yourself, are you good enough? Should I apply for this? What does the competition look like? So all those things are a good sign. It just shows that you care about what you're trying to do. But what I always tell people, so after you've applied for the grant that you think you might be eligible for, and then after you found the grant that you think you might be eligible for, and then the second part is to get through the doubt. Just apply for it. There is nothing to lose at the end of the day. So step number 3 is I'll say second most important. So what you're trying to do when you're applying for a grant, so essentially they talk about the programs that are eligible, and they ask you to present a project that you want to do. So this is a really opportunity to present the best version of yourself, the best version of the project that you want to do. And I find with most grant applications, so they give you a description of what they want you to do, but there's nothing that stops you from going outside this box that they've defined for you. So for example, they might say, write a project that helps the community. So for myself, I do dancing. So I'll start talking about, say, we're going to use dance to maybe bring food and culture, and we use dancing as a way to celebrate that part. So it's just telling a story. So you're just trying to tell the best story of what you're proposing to do. So I find in this step number 3, there's a lot of room for creativity. So you even present your project in different phases that you could do at different times. And then with regards to, so after you've presented your best version, so that's step number 3, you're presenting the best version of yourself, of your project. There's nothing to lose there. You're just trying to give a detailed account of what you want to do. So step number 4 then, so I was talking to this with a friend a few weeks ago, and the analogy that we give is like, so what you're trying to do, when you're applying a grant, you're trying to answer questions. So essentially the people have presented a grant to you, so they have written the description. So as you're reading through that description, you start asking yourself questions to say, this is what they want, and this is how I can respond to that. So essentially, as you're writing, you're answering to the questions that has been presented to you by the grant description. So then the analogy that I always use with my friend is like you're in court. You're in the court for granting. So when you go to the court of law, whether you're the accused or whether you're the accuser, you always have to present evidence. So the same thing applies to grants. So essentially you can write as best as you can do, but just think of the person who's seeing your project. So they might only have a few minutes to look through the application. So it's very hard to get a full picture of what someone is trying to do by just looking through a written application. So they need evidence. So in the court of granting, your evidence is the information, whatever you've done in the past that is related to the project that you're trying to do. So I'll give myself for example. So it's a dancing project. So I'm applying to say that we want to use food and culture and use dance as a way to celebrate those two things. So then the first person that the person would ask is, do I know how to dance? Have I done it in the past? Have I done something similar in the past? And do they have confidence in me getting successful? So essentially, but through your evidence that you present in the court of granting, you're trying to use that evidence to gain the trust of the people that are reviewing your application. So the evidence is very important. So when it comes to evidence, so this could be reviews from other people that you have worked with in the past. This could be photos of you doing something similar to what you're presenting to do, or this could be in the form of videos. So the way I always look at it myself, so we have a scale here. So word is here, and then pictures are worth 1,000 words, and then videos are worth 1,000 pictures. So especially these days, it's fairly easy be it with your smartphones, be it with, you might have an even more powerful camera. But as you're doing what you're doing, so for example myself, I always try to give examples of myself. So as we're doing dance events, dancing projects, I always try to get a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, so that when the time comes for me to present myself in the court of granting, I present my videos and I present my pictures. So what that actually does, because I find sometimes when you're giving a description, you tend to undersell yourself. So it's very hard to describe the best version of yourself in a few words. So this is where your pictures would come into play, your videos would come into play, or your reviews. That's why you gain the confidence, the trust of the judge in the court of the grant. So whoever is the person who's reviewing your application, by just looking through your videos, looking through your pictures, or what you've done in the past, they just gain confidence in you that you can actually execute. You just gain their trust that based on what you're presenting and what you've done in the past and your capabilities, it actually brings all those things together, and then they would give you the grant. So step number 5. So step number 5 is really important. Like, it's the more you do something, the better you get at it. So chances are high your first grant application might not be the best application, but the only way to learn about something is by doing it. And once you do it, once you succeed at it, you gain confidence for doing it the next time, and the more grants you apply, the more you repeat. So chances are high you're not the only person with good ideas. There's plenty of other people with good ideas, plenty of other people trying to apply for grants. So whether you succeed or whether you don't succeed, the important thing is just to use every grant application as a learning opportunity, and use that for your next application. And you notice that some things, they become copy and paste with time. Some things you can use them from a previous application. I use the same trick myself, but it's just the idea of, like, once you start seeking feedback, talking to the people who are reviewing your grants, just to see like what works, and if you succeed, try to identify the things that worked for you in that application so that you can use them next time, and you can also pick up other tricks from. The more you do it, the better it gets. So before I go, one bonus tip. So this one is also important too. So I know there is only 24 hours in the day, and you have so many things that are trying to get your attention. So a lot of the times you might end up spending a lot of time thinking about the things in the short term. So I find it's better to start early. So let's say a grant is in 6 months time. Ideal maybe 2-3 months before the deadline, you just start gathering your information. So that gives you the flexibility to get your application done in time, so that you don't have to worry about rushing at the end. And also it just gives you the chance to, like, sometimes you do something the first time, if you forget about it, and then when you look at it again, you see areas that you can improve. So it just makes the process a little bit less stressful for you, so if you do it earlier on. So before I let you go, I'll just recap on everything. So any grant that you can think of you are eligible to get, start applying it for it now, because that helps your grants, that helps to finance your next projects, and that just makes your ventures more successful. So step number 1, you can't apply if you don't look. So just search, try to find anything that you're eligible for. So step number 2, it's okay to be afraid, but just have to punch fear in the face and just give it a try. There's nothing to lose. So step number 3, the description is very important. You're just trying to sell the best version yourself. Just talk about what value you can bring through your application and how you can stand out. Step number 4, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can write, but you need your evidence. So this could be in the form of pictures, videos, and that's what you use as your evidence in the court of granting. And then step number 5, it's always to just keep getting feedback. You might succeed, you may not succeed, but the more lessons you learned, it just increases your chance in the future. So before I let you go, I have also included links in the description to some of the cameras that I use, some of the lights, my beloved microphone here that I always use for all the recordings that we do. So I have a few affiliate links for some of those equipment, some of that gear, or even the software that I use to edit the video, Filmora. So just check out some of those affiliate links and you can use them to support our channel and help us grow. So until next time.